So retailers have first-party data, which is incredibly important for brands because what a retailer does is that it has that first-party data so that a brand can not only develop that personalized messaging, but then the brand can understand what was the outcome through the closed-loop measurement, both from an online and in-store perspective, which is incredibly valuable. And then, retailers, because of that, they become media companies, or as Kara Pratt from Kroger would say, retail media is media. And because of the significant investment in retail media, we have all the retailers with us today, and it's been an exciting 2 years.
We often hear about the retail media as the big players. What's the opportunities for smaller players? In other words, in aggregate, what can retail media bring, beyond the bigger players?
So when you think about retail media, you have to think about the shopper experience, and you think about me as a consumer. I'm going to 3 different groceries. I'm going to different retailers through my experience. So brands need to start thinking about the smaller retail media platforms as a way to how can I differentiate my messaging and create more of a local messaging play, whereas with the larger players, you really have that scale. And there's how can I drive that large scale brand messaging? And then I think one of the interesting things is that, we're seeing a lot of these retail media aggregators launch, which makes it very easy for brands to activate retail media. And then whereas the larger players, we're seeing the rise of marketplaces like Amazon, Walmart, and Kroger have all launched marketplaces such as, and that includes a video play, an in-store play, and a media play. And I think that's going to be really exciting. And then for the smaller players is how can you join an aggregator so you can be part of that flywheel, but not have to have the significant investment technology to do it.
So speaking of best practices, what are best practices around measurement, and what are you guys trying to accomplish?
Yeah, so we worked with the MRC to develop the retail media measurement guidelines. They were published on September 13th for public comment. We're releasing them later during this event as a finalized product. And what we're doing this year is that we're actually also releasing an explainer. So on the retail media measurement guidelines with Boston Consulting Group, where we have essentially narrowed down and explained these measurement guidelines in layman's terms so that people that are signing the checkbooks and actually strategizing in retail media can understand and have a conversation on how to implement these standards moving forward.
What needs to be measured?
So for the measurement standards, one of the big things was the aspect of viewability. So if you take the definition of closed-loop measurement, which says what is the outcome, closed-loop measurement is the ability to measure the outcome of an ad. What the MRC and the IAB said, based on the MRC's outcome standards, was that outcome needs to be attributed to a viewable impression. So that was one of the things we said, so that way when our CPG is getting any sort of outcome metric, such as new to brand, category share, or even ROAS, they know that outcome metric is based on a user that saw and interacted with the ad. The next thing we also looked at was really important is how incrementality is being measured, and then develop key definitions on what each of the different metrics were, and not only the definition, but the methodology and how those metrics were derived.
And Jeffrey, finally, we're very interested in this big buzzword, shoppable video, shoppable media. What is the state of shoppable media and videos that are shoppable? Where does that stand? Where might that go?
Shoppable media is really exciting because it's kind of like how do you bring this really upper funnel advertising activation to a performance idea, and we're seeing really great activations such as shoppable video on sponsored products, which are really exciting, or what Amazon did during the football game during Christmas. That was really awesome, where there was an ad and there was a QR code and there was immediate action there. And I think what's really exciting when you look at CTV and retail media and shoppable video, it's the opportunity where you can engage with the consumer to create that contextual consideration, that connection. And then you can use retail media data to then revisit that consumer, because it's not just about performance and not just about brand awareness. The key objective is, now that you're aware of my brand, how can I continue re-engaging with you long-term and having that long-term consumer lifetime value, which is where I think retail media will be moving forward to.